Hey, everybody, it's Dave and Kurt from the Dart Media Group. Welcome to our latest production called Spartan Heads. It's our weekly vodcast where we will bring you sports, tales, and more from our Southwestern community.
We've got many different show segments planned. Things like game recaps, Coach's Corner, history and legends, fans, food and fun, and much, much more.
We hope you like our first episode of Spartan Heads. Let us know what you think on Twitter at Dart Media Group. Need some sports in your life? Like the boys varsity winning the Shelby County basketball tourney? Don't forget, you can go back and watch your favorite games on our YouTube channel at Dart Media Group.
On tonight's episode of Spartan Heads, we interview Southwestern varsity baseball coach Chris Ingles and hear how he became a Spartan, and we will celebrate the 2020 baseball seniors.
We'll also talk about what if, the quarantine season of 2020, and what might have been for this team of Spartans. Then we'll take a trip back in history with Dave Covington, the voice of the Spartans, in a segment we call History and Legends. We're very thankful tonight to have Coach Chris Ingles, boys varsity baseball coach for Southwestern. Coach Ingles, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about Chris Ingles, where he went to high school, where he went to college, and really how you got into coaching.
Well, don't hold this against me, but I'm an Edinburgh high school alum. My dad is in his 41st or 42nd year teaching at Edinburgh, so they moved to Edinburgh back when he started, and that's where I grew up. Was always big into sports and going and watching him coach. He was a football coach really when I was too small to remember, but he was track and cross country coach for years growing up. He was baseball coach for a few years. I just remember always being around sports, watching sports, things like that. When I graduated high school, I went to Franklin College. With the intent to play baseball, which I did as a freshman, and realized those guys were really good. And, I wanted to get into coaching a little bit more, so I volunteered my first year at Franklin College at Edinburgh, coaching all my buddies that I played with the year before, which is a little awkward. And then the following year, the new coach at Southwestern at the time, actually, Brian Klein, it was his first year there. His brother had been the head coach at Edinburgh previously, and so I knew the Klein family, and he asked me if I wanted to come coach freshman basketball. So I got to Southwestern then for the first time as a freshman basketball coach. So
and so that was when you were pulling double duty, right, Chris? You're a Franklin College student and coaching full time.
Right, and back then we had a full freshman team, so I would practice freshman practice in the mornings. We wouldn't have to practice at the elementary. We could have the main gym at the high school before school, so we would practice at 6 or 6:15 or 6:30. I don't remember exactly, but we would practice. I would go to Franklin College and have classes, and then I'd come back to Southwestern after school for the high school, the varsity practice every day.
So look, I asked you a question. I mean, you opened the door there, so I'm going to take it. So you're a 19 and a half, 20-year-old college kid coaching a bunch of freshmen. Who was on that freshman squad? Do you remember some of the names?
Oh, I remember about all of them. It was a really good group, a really fun one to coach. Troy Bowdy, you guys are probably familiar with Troy. Troy Bowdy, kid named Danny McCracken, Robbie Jones, Ethan Kreis, Brad McIntyre, John Burbrink was on that team, Marcus McCain, Travis Gaddis.
Wow.
Older, I remember. JT Humphrey was on that team. And I hope I'm not forgetting one or two.
That's pretty impressive, though.
That was more than a day or two ago, right, Coach?
This would have been a year after Southwestern made it to the state championship game. So
like 06? No, wait, 04 maybe? Somewhere in there?
Then 03, 04. 03, 04. I was there. So I coached those guys as freshmen. Then I was fortunate enough to be able to coach those guys all throughout their high school career, because the following 3 years I moved up and I was a JV coach then as they were sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Yes, that meant I went to Franklin College for 5 years. That happens.
That's right.
Well, especially, give you credit. I mean, when you're an education major, typically that's what happens, because your second part of your senior year actually doing student teaching, the majority of that. So that's pretty typical.
Right.
So I got to ask you a question though too. I mean, it sounds like from what the story you just shared, really your passion for coaching comes from watching your father.
Right.
Great.
And, I have an uncle on my mom's side and my grandpa on my mother's side are in education. My grandpa, they're both in Tennessee now. My grandpa was a superintendent of school. He was a principal prior to that. My uncle was a principal for a long time, and now he is the superintendent of schools down in Tennessee. I've got a cousin who teaches and coaches football in Tennessee. It's just kind of what we do, I guess, in the family.
That's awesome.
She's not a teacher, but she works for Edinburgh Schools. So.
No, it's a noble calling, and it would be that's a completely different segment on kind of the history of education and kind of what's gone on there over the last 15, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, going back to those folks. So that's interesting. That's a great start though, right? Really putting yourself out there as a freshman in college or after your freshman year to try and get involved with that coaching kids. So Chris, Dave and I really genuinely appreciate you taking time out. I mean, it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and here you spent nearly an hour with us. But we really appreciate your perspective on the Spartans baseball team. Appreciate what you do for all the kids at Southwestern and the community. So thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, you're always a big fan of ours and big supporter of what we've done, and you're a great asset to the community, and the kids love you, and so we just appreciate everything you do.
I appreciate you saying that. If I can help you guys with any of this stuff, anything in the future or any of that stuff that you guys have planned, let me know.
Let's talk about your senior class this year, Coach.
Well, we had 2 seniors, Anthony Atwood and Will Doty, 2 tremendous kids, really good baseball players, and a lot of fun to be around, a lot of fun to coach. They were good teammates, good friends, good kids. And I don't know if, so after they canceled the season, I just say they made their call, and people started putting out tweets about, being disappointed about everything. Will said it best that thankful at the end of this tweet, thankful for getting a brother out of it, because they're so close and together all the time, even during this stretch. They are like brothers. So it's pretty cool the bond that they've gotten. Will was around as a middle schooler, watching his brother Blake play. This would have been my 7th year coaching at Doty, and 7 years is probably plenty. Unfortunately, I had 6, but 7 was going to be plenty. So Will was always around, and I saw him kind of grow and play as a middle schooler, and Anthony moved in from Waldron as a freshman, and I heard a couple kids say that, oh, he's pretty good, and I was a little excited to have him. And then, like, one of the first memories I have of Anthony, he always played Waldron pretty early on in our conference late, and he's starting on the mound, and we 10-run rule in the game, but he threw a shutout. He threw a fucking shutout again as a freshman. Lottery base runners in that game. And,
that's incredible.
For him to do that as a freshman against the guys that he kind of grew up around and watching in his old school, that was pretty awesome. And then I really thought, man, I'm glad Anthony Atwood's on our side. And
you got a gamer in that kid, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Anthony is the guy that, and he was the ultimate utility guy, and he made life easy for me. And after this all went down, and I started thinking about next year, I was like, holy cow, I don't know what we're going to do next year, because we're losing Anthony as a pitcher, but Anthony also played wherever the next pitcher played. He played every position, but catcher, because I wouldn't let him. He begged me to a couple times. Like, you don't need to throw anymore. So,
well, and that's a great point. That's a testament to the kid, right, and the love of the baseball, that he knows every position, and being able to play every position is one thing, but knowing every position and the backups and where the throws are supposed to go and where the cutoff people is, or if I'm supposed to be the cutoff, depending upon which side the ball's hit. And to have a kid with that kind of baseball IQ is pretty fantastic.
Oh, yes, it is. And, that contributes back to, and, I can't take a whole lot of credit for the success that we've had here recently, because our guys are playing so much more baseball on their own, too. And, playing sports, you got to play in order to get good. We grew up playing basketball in the driveway, and then we'd go play open gyms, and we'd just play all the time, and we'd get good. We'd get better. I wasn't good. We'd get better. But, Anthony played travel baseball, and he played it all summer long. And then these guys would go play in a fall league. We'd combine teams. You'd have up to 5 guys from a school on a fall team. And we worked out with Hauser. We'd have 5 Hauser guys on a team, Anthony and Will, and a couple other guys from our school would play with these Hauser guys. And then we would have another team with 5 of our guys on it, kids from Edinburgh. We're just trying to get kids to play more baseball.
It's interesting. Right now, everybody's watching, and I think Twitter blew up last night about Michael Jordan's mother having the conversation with him when he didn't make the varsity team. That, well, you don't like what happened? Work harder. And so, to what you're talking about, if kids wanted to get better, or kids want to get better, they've simply got to put in the extra work. Because if you show up in the end of March hoping to get good at baseball for April, it's probably not going to work very well for you as a coach.
No, exactly. That's exactly right. And, so these guys, and we have a handful of them that play all summer long. And then, we had anywhere from 8 to 10 guys that would play, that would get 10 games in down at Zierland in the fall. And, that's times that they're going out and throwing. They got time on the mound pitching. They get at bats. And that's what I really liked was, I wanted to see pitches.
That's right.
And, so these guys would do that. And Will and Anthony were 2 that really bought in and really spent a lot of time working on this. The Doties have a batting cage in their little barn that they have their full barn, and it's pretty sweet. We've gone there as a team a few times to get the pitch machine out and hit when we couldn't hit outside. So those guys have spent a lot of time working on baseball, more so than anything. Will doesn't play another sport. Anthony played tennis and was really good at tennis, but they spent time at baseball, and I hate that they lost out on their senior season. And losing out on a season kind of upsets me because, Anthony had a chance to, outside chance. He would have had to have a great year at the plate, but, he had an outside chance to get to 100 hits as an individual. He was in the 70s. He was in the low 70s, 71, 72 hits for his career. And you don't hear anything about high school baseball, but I think 100 hits is kind of similar to 1,000 points scored basketball. Anthony, and I have all of our stats and career stats from when I started coaching. Brandon Stubblefield has the most strikeouts for one of our pitchers. He was at like 197 strikeouts. Anthony was about 50 strikeouts behind him going into this year, and would have, barring good health and everything, he was going to break that record this year. And that was something that was important to him. Will Doty led us in RBIs the last couple of years, and I was really interested to see where he could get to. He had 25 RBIs last year in 26 games. So I was interested to see, if he could get up to, the 30 RBI mark this year, kind of set a high number for us. But I talked to Will and Anthony quite a bit there after the call was made. Let them know, personally what they meant to me and what they meant to us.
But one of the things, that you're in an interesting position now, having those two young men now, will be graduating soon. I'm sure you have the same kind of philosophy for them, that which I think it was Mr. Klein had with you. Gentlemen, come March, you know where the baseball diamond is. You know where I'll be, and you know where the kids will be. So if you want to come back and you want to continue to participate in program and come around and be around the kids and learn how to coach, if you're anywhere near interested in that, that'd be an interesting dynamic for a couple of kids that didn't get their senior year but are able to come back and potentially help continue to grow that program in which they planned on this year.
Right, and Anthony's going to Franklin College and intending on playing baseball at Franklin College. So he's going to be around the game, but Will, his career's done from being a player. He's not going to go on and play the next level. And that's funny that you said that, because that's, as I was talking to him, that's a comment that he made me. He goes, maybe I'll come out and see you guys sometime next year. And I told him, I said, well, and we kind of talked, depending on your schedule, you can come out as much as you would possibly want. And if you want to come out and hit bungos, balls to the guys, or whatever kind of little role that he would want to do, I would love to have him, because he meant that much to our program, and everybody likes him. Everybody wants to be around him.
He's a solid kid, good level head on his shoulders, and I think from a maturity standpoint, there we talked about life lessons and a couple of these other segments we've done with a couple other coaches. And there's a life lesson, unfortunately, that those two boys are going to have to get over, to your point. It's happened. We can talk about it. Can't dwell on it. Tomorrow doesn't care whether or not what happened yesterday. And it'll be interesting to see, first of all, where Anthony ends up at Franklin. I'm really excited to go watch him play next year when he goes to play. It would be great to see Will back around the dugout.
Right. And something that I haven't really talked with those guys about, and it's something that I mentioned to our returning guys about, we kind of need to do something for those two next year. And when we're on a dog pile out there after winning a championship, whether it's county or sectional or whatever, those two boys better be around it too, because they're a big piece of what we do next year as well. Yeah. I want those two guys to be a part of that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, from your perspective. I know we've talked about the seniors a little bit, but you've got a wealth of experience in baseball that really would have made this team really special. Who would have been 2 or 3 of your toughest competition that you would have been faced in the regular season before you got to sectional?
Well, I always say, Hauser is the bar around here for our size school in our conference. Fortunately, they're not in our sectional, and hopefully that doesn't get moved in. Although I feel like we're getting closer and closer to them each year, but we're not there yet. And Hauser's the bar that I kind of compare ourselves to. North Decatur is good every year. And, both those schools have coaches who I really respect, and both those schools play the right way, and they're going to move runners, and they're going to be very disciplined. And both those schools are really good. Also on our schedule, Oldenburg, who we beat them early last year, and then they got hot. Second half of the year, they won their sectional. They ended up upsetting Hauser, won their sectional, and have just about everybody back. So Oldenburg's going to be really good. And Trinity Lutheran smoked us last year at the end of the year. Kind of caught us off guard, I felt like, a little bit. And they won their sectional and should have won in the regional, at least their game. They got beat on a walk-off grand slam the second regional last year. So and I think they had a lot back. So those teams were all going to be really, really good.
So let me add, so those are great examples of teams and programs that really had some also upside this year, but really, would we have had a chance in county?
Yes. Yes, and Triton was still going to be solid. They lost a lot last year. They had some really good players last year, but they had to promote brothers back, and I don't remember one to beat us in the county last year. That was a good game in the county championship against them. We just couldn't get another run or two across. I don't remember if it was 4-1. We got beat or something like that. But the Kermode kid was good. But I think that we were going to be better and maybe be able to get to him. That I was hoping.
And break the streak, right?
Right. They haven't lost a county in a long time. So.
And it was, I got to tell you, obviously we get an opportunity to talk with maybe what we'd like to call the executive director of Southwestern baseball, Mike DeArmond, quite often. He and Albert, and those two guys really felt that this year they had at least a dead even heat to win a county championship with the two seniors that they've got back and everybody else that you've kind of put together there for your squad this year. So anything else about this season that you were either looking forward to or had plans to do that with this season, Coach?
Well, one thing that, and this is all stuff that, winning and growing individually and intellectually as a person, that's what coaching, those are the things that are important to you as a coach, but you also like to see guys, achieve some things individually as well. And losing out on a season kind of upsets me because, Anthony had a chance to, outside chance, he would have had to have a great year at the plate, but, he had an outside chance to get to 100 hits as an individual. He was in the 70s, he was in the low 70s, 71, 72 hits for his career. And you don't hear anything about high school baseball, but I think 100 hits is kind of similar to 1,000 points for basketball. I think Anik and Aiden can get to, Aiden had 38 hits last year as a freshman, which Aiden doesn't see very many pitches. He gets up there and hits it and play and beats or gets on. But, he had 38 hits as a freshman, so obviously he can still get there. Anik, I think, can still get there, but losing out on the season hurts those guys. I know Anthony, and I have all of our stats and career stats from when I started coaching. Brandon Stubblefield has the most strikeouts for one of our pitchers. He was at 197 strikeouts. Anthony was about 50 strikeouts behind him going into this year, and would have, barring good health and everything, he was going to break that record this year. And that was something that was important to him. Will Doty led us in RBIs the last couple of years, and I was really interested to see where he could get to. He had 25 RBIs last year in 26 games. So I was interested to see, if he could get up to, the 30 RBI mark this year. Kind of set a high number for us, but other guys, I think Jordan Jones is going to have, he plays summer ball, and I thought he was going to have an unbelievable sophomore season. He was really good last year as a freshman for us, but I was really excited to see, what he was going to do. Ethan Windling and, Mr. Dependable, he's solid in everything he does. And Ethan had a great year last year, and he was probably going to be put more in opportunities to drive in runs this year. Christian DeArmond is a guy that gets on base all the time, works counts, gets on base, and he had the best on base percentage for us last year. And actually, oddly, with the Hartzell boys and Jordan Jones, Christian still led us in stolen bases. He's a pretty intelligent base runner, and he's pretty good at it. So I was really excited to see, what these guys were going to do, and then having Matthew Clements come in as a freshman, and a kid that's played a ton of baseball, and I was watching him out at practice, and we got to practice a couple of days, and like, holy cow, this kid is really good for a freshman, and to see how he was going to fit in with us. Chance Johnson is a tough-nosed, hard worker. He hit the ball. Blake Dunbar works hard. A good outfielder. When Blake makes contact, the ball goes far. It was going to be so much fun to see how the puzzle fit together.
Next up, Spartans fans, is a history lesson on Southwestern Spartan sports from our very own voice of the Spartans, Dave Covington.
Got it. The Varsity! Got it. Kerber to Tower. Count it. Pull up my Hartzell. Got it. Lucas for 3. Got another one. To Christian DeArmond for 2. To the corner for KVG3. He got it.
The best 5 teams of all time for the boys, 02-03, the state finalist team went 22-5. We broke the 69-70 record, which I picked for second, because the 69-70 squad won 19 straight games. Only North Decatur and Shelbyville knocked them off. 90-91 should have went farther, but we went 17-4. We averaged 86 a game, similar to what South Decatur did. And I mentioned about that during our broadcasts, when we broadcasted out South Decatur, that we were the run and gun team from back then. We lost Triton Central 3 straight times by a combined total of 5 points. And we had 3 people arrested after the sectional was over with.
Okay, that's 3.
73-74 with 17-5, but as usual, we ran into Columbus North or Brown County. Brown County was strong back then.
Was the 5th team on your top 5?
74-75 was the 5th one. 73-74 and 74-75 was pretty much the same cast. Went 17-5 and 73-74, 16-5 and 74-75. Both those teams beat East, but we couldn't do a thing with North. North was on the regular schedule in 74. We lost by 15 to them. Wound up losing by 15 to them in the section. We couldn't do a thing with North.
Sometimes
North had a good team in 75. North went all the way to like the Elite 8.
Those Bulldogs.
North went to final. North went to the Elite 8, got put out by Lagodi that went to the championship game against Marion, and Marion put Lagodi out. In fact, Lagodi blew Columbus North out of the water, like 56-28, if I remember correctly.
Dave, if you say you remember correctly, I'm going to guess you did. 76
squad, it didn't win as many games. That was a squad that Rick Culver, a Hall of Famer, played on all 3 of those that won the county, 74, 75, and 76. Rick Culver was a part of that. Ron Hamilton was a part of that. And Jerry Palmer was a part of that.
And those
Rick
names
Palmer's first year was 76.
When you hear those names a lot, when you talk about the early 70s great ball teams, you're preaching the gospel here of Southwestern sports.
We hope you enjoyed the premiere episode of Spartan Heads. Thanks to Coach Ingles and the voice of the Spartans, Dave Covington, for coming on and being a part of this very first one. Make sure you tune in next week as we visit with Southwestern varsity tennis coach, Coach Ebersol, as we find out what sport he played in high school.
It wasn't tennis.
We'll celebrate the 2020 tennis seniors, and we'll have another round of what might have been in the quarantine season. And we will get a special tour, virtual tour, of the Ebersol collection in the first ever edition of Hobbies, Collections, and Trophy Rooms.
As always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Flat Rock Ag, Larry Moore Construction, Kokomo Grain, and Flat Rock Precision. For Dave Blondell, our executive producer, I'm Kurt Carell. Thanks for tuning in to Spartan Heads.